Myanmar's military says deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been moved to house arrest after spending the past 5 years in prison following a 2021 coup. Little is known about the well-being of Aung San Suu Kyi, but there are concerns surrounding the now 80-year-old's health, including fears of a worsening heart condition. Well, let's speak to Kim Aris, who is the son of Aung San Suu Kyi. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Kim. Firstly, can you update us on where things are at the moment? Your mother has reportedly been transferred to house arrest some 5 years after she was detained in a coup. What do you know?
Well, so far there's nothing that I can say has verified any of this. We've heard various rumours over the last 5 years of her having been moved to house arrest, and none of that has shown to be true. So until someone can actually see her and independently verify any of this, I can't say what's going on. All I know is that over the past 5 years, I've only received one communication from her, and that she has been denied her basic human rights of being able to communicate with her family or her legal team. And I'm extremely concerned about her well-being. Obviously, she is 80 years old and got ongoing health concerns, and she won't be receiving the medical care she needs whilst incarcerated.
The last time that you were in touch with her, what did you know? What did you find out about her state of health then?
Very little, I'm afraid to say. It was a very short letter, and we know that our communications will be censored, but she was able to convey that the cell in which she was being kept got very hot in the summer and extremely cold in the winter.
Now, you've written to Emmanuel Macron, the French president. How do you think that he can assist? Why have you asked him for help?
President Macron is one of the few world leaders who has made his position very clear on his support for my mother. And whilst I want all world leaders to do likewise, it's much better to try and get people who already want to do the right thing to do the right thing. And I can only hope that his example will help others do the right thing also.
Are you optimistic that the French government will take any action? What do you expect to happen next?
I am optimistic. I hope that they will push for proof of life of my mother, and they did say that they would do so. And I hope that there's more that they can do. It's very hard to know what can be done in this circumstance, but I'm sure that there is more that can be done.
Now, the Philippines has called on Myanmar to allow ASEAN Special Envoy to meet with Aung San Suu Kyi. How has this bloc of Southeast Asian countries helped at all? Not only with your mother's case, but also in trying to quell the violence during the ongoing conflict in Myanmar?
I'm afraid ASEAN hasn't done a great deal over the last 5 years to quell this conflict. They have not made the military stand up to, hold by these 5-point consensus, and they have allowed this conflict to rage without any meaningful input.
Can you describe for us some of the attempts that you've made to find out more about your mother and what has happened?
Well, I've been in contact with the ICRC over the past 5 years, as well as my contacts within the British Foreign Office here and others, and none of them have been able to get any kind of access to my mother at all.
Your mother's sentence in recent weeks has been shortened. Is this a meaningful change in your view?
Well, I believe that she'll still be over 100, and seeing as she's been locked up under completely false charges in the first place and should never have been imprisoned, no, these aren't meaningful steps.
If indeed she has been moved to house arrest, it would be different to the previous time she was imprisoned about 15 years ago. Back then she could still meet visiting dignitaries.
Well, my mother spent 20 years in prison. That's a quarter of her life, well, prison and house arrest. And this is for trying to bring democracy to Burma. the last 5 years have been the hardest because she hasn't had any access to anybody outside of the prison and the military. So I can only hope that she is okay. I do not know how she is. All I'm asking is to have verified proof that she is alive and for her to have her basic human rights of being able to contact her family.
What have the past 5 years been like, not knowing how she is and what the future holds for her?
It's been tough. And obviously, without any contact with her, I just don't know how she is. All I hear are rumours that her health is deteriorating. That is all I have heard over the last 5 years. And like I said, she's 80 years old, and so many political prisoners lose their lives in prison in Burma all the time. I do not want another tragedy on our hands here, and this is something that could so easily unfold.
And what information have you been able to glean from her legal team, if you have been able to be in touch with them, and if indeed they have been able to help her at all?
They have not been able to see her for 3 years now, as far as I'm aware. I'm not in direct touch with them because it's not very safe for them.
What are you hoping that will happen right now?
I'm hoping that my mother will be released unconditionally. Failing that, then I want independent verification by independent players, such as the ICRC. And I would like direct communication with her.
Are you hopeful that will happen? And if you do have communication with her, what would you say?
I would simply tell her that I love her and that we're all rooting for her, as always, and that I hope to be able to be with her again soon.
And of course, it's not just your mother that you're fighting for to be released in prison.
No, I'd like to see all political prisoners in Burma to be free, and I'd like to see the violence to end and for democracy to be reinstated.
How can the international community help the plight of your mother and do more?
To keep on pressure on this military regime, to not accept them, and just to remind the world of what an amazing woman my mother is. She has sacrificed all of her life to try and bring democracy to Burma. The world needs to remember this.
Mm. How much support does she have from the people of Myanmar within the country?
Both within and without the country, she has an incredible amount of support. I have been hugely moved by the amount of support I've received over this last 5 years.
And just any final words, how will you continue this fight? And will it continue indefinitely until you get to speak to her?
It will definitely continue until I either see her or I see proper, verifiable proof that she is alive and well. And I can only go on trying to encourage world leaders to do the same and to call for her immediate and unconditional release, together with all the political prisoners in Burma, and for an end to the violence.
Kim Aris, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.